Hey entrepreneur, this is Mark Newsom, Mr. Marketing. Welcome to this special presentation entitled Three Extremely Critical Things That a Struggling Offline Business Can and Will Teach You About the Lack of Success of Your Online Business. These three key things can and will make a big difference, ladies and gentlemen, in your overall long-term success or lack thereof. Entrepreneur, the real reason for this video is to expose you to three extremely small yet oh so critical things that a struggling small offline business can and will teach you about why you're not having as much success or any at all as you'd like in your online business. Take a look at this. These three critical lessons will demonstrate, entrepreneur, why your online business is not as successful as it should be. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say you own a typical small mom and pop produce business. You know, you have fresh fruits and vegetables and flowers. You've seen these a lot of times in the movies, especially in New York City. You see these kind of vendors. So let's say you have one of those kind of businesses. And I want you to pretend that somebody stops by your business, a first time potential customer. So here's the first critical lesson. And I'm saying this, ladies and gentlemen, as an overview, but you gotta stay focused, dedicated, and committed to the task at hand. And what I'm saying by that is you gotta recognize that business and being in business takes focused effort before you're going to start to see sustainable results. But let me get back to my point. You see this picture here? Now let's say this is your produce stand. And somebody walks up, and here's the first thing they notice. You have virtually no inventory. Now look at all this. Instead of these all being here, imagine that 90% of these are empty. Where's your inventory? That's the first thing. What message does that send to the first time a person walks up to this little small mom and pop business? Now here's the other thing. Not only do you have a lack of inventory, the current inventory, in other words, the produce and vegetables that you have out there, I don't want to say it's stale, but you know how bananas start to look when they start to ripe. They start to look brown. So obviously you can't sell that and you can't leave it out there. But the point is, that's telling the public that this stuff has been sitting there for a while and it's getting old. So what message does that send? Now compare that to the typical small business entrepreneur that gets excited about jumping online. Here's critical lesson number two. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever gone into a small business, and let's say it's where they sell canned goods and stuff, and they sell sandwiches at lunchtime, and they got coffee and all that, and the owners there trying to service customers, and they're making a sandwich for one particular customer, and there's starting to be a line that's building. And you notice in the back there are two or three employees back there, and one's on the phone and the other one's doing something, and it's obvious that the owner can't handle what's going on up front. They need help. And finally, the owner's got to scream out for somebody. Well, they don't scream, but they call somebody's name, Joe or Mary, and this person sort of reluctantly comes from the back and starts to help out. Well, here's how that relates to you and I online. Ladies and gentlemen, when a first-time visitor, any visitor for that matter, but specifically when a first-time visitor takes the time to leave a comment on your blog, there's going to be a date there. Don't let the next time somebody else comes to your blog and sees where you finally got around to responding to the comment, it's a couple of weeks down the road. That's You see this all the time, especially with new people who've tried to set up a blog. They got into something, they're excited, they're told put a blog or get a website, and all of a sudden money's just going to start flowing into their business, and they find out really quick that there's a whole lot of other things that have to be going on before that's even going to happen. But my point is, when people see that, that's like somebody complaining and it's taking you 2 or 3 weeks before customer service gets back to you. How excited are you about going another round doing business, continually doing business with a company like that? So that's just the point. And here's the third critical lesson, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think your all important first time visitor thinks when they land on your site and you've basically got no inventory? In other words, very few blog posts, because that's your inventory. That's part of it. And more importantly, the blog posts you have, in other words, the inventory you have, it hasn't been updated in a while. I mean, here we are. This is what, February 28th, 2014. Let's say this first time you come to my particular blog, and my last blog post was October 9th of 2013. What message does that send? I mean, don't you not think that the people who are coming here are thinking, well, okay, is this a hobby? Or is this person actually running a business? Now, here's something else that's really critical. Ladies and gentlemen, when I'm on a lot of webinars, they will sometimes, the person that's hosting the webinar will ask the people to state what their income goals are. And here's what the average typical uh, amount will be. $10,000. This is what they want to gross a month. Now, obviously, that's going to be a combination of things, but here's the point. The typical newbie blogger, and I'm saying somebody who's been online less than a year, they average, or they start out average, about one blog post a week. And I'm talking about every 7 days. And then eventually it tails off. But let's think about this. One new, fresh piece of content every week. And even though some months have 5 weeks, let's just use a 4-week month. So that's 4 blog posts. What is 10,000 divided by 4, ladies and gentlemen? $2,500. You really think one blog post that you put out is worth $2,500 on average? I can assure you it's not. But here's the point. How do you expect to earn that kind of income on so little activity? This is totally, totally unrealistic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope in this short video you've come to understand how and why your online business is struggling, especially when you compare it to what goes on in an offline business. Is really not that much different. You got to work extremely hard, you got to be dedicated, and you got to keep growing and making mistakes, and that takes effort and it takes time. Now, some people will say, well, Mark, you don't understand, I don't have time. So my question to you is, then why did you decide to go into business in the first place? I don't know what you thought this was, but this is going to take some effort. So with that said, for those of you who want to discover how you can add an additional 25% more gross profit to your bottom line, entrepreneur, do so in the next 90 days or less without having to add any new customers or clients, then what you need to do is grab your free 9-page special report. Just head over to youcanmarketonlinenow.com/sales, because that's where you can get it. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to know, for those of you who enjoyed this particular video and you need a little bit more information, you're really serious about getting your product or service marketed the correct way, then you need to know, when you grab and opt in to grab your free 9-page special report, you're also going to get a free 22-part small business marketing mastery series on top of it. In other words, let's be crystal clear here, a series of additional emails, 22 of them as a matter of fact. You're free to unsubscribe anytime you wish. This in and of itself is a $97 value, and it's going to give you the information you need to take your business, product, or service to the next level. This is Mark Newsom, Mr. Marketing. We'll see you again next time, entrepreneur, on the Marketing Minute.